Will you be there when the stars align?
Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1242 of our daily content grind. So, what you're seeing on screen right now is something that had popped up on TFW, and this was something that I could have thrown into the news roundup yesterday, except it wasn't, because it's not actually news. So, the original G1 profiles written by Bob Budiansky has actually been available for years. Why it popped up in TFW's news feed yesterday, I'm genuinely not sure. Nevertheless, this is something that we've been able to look at for a long time. This is something that a lot of people already know the information it revealed. But that said, it did get me to thinking there are a few things that I've been wanting to do for a while with this. And we've done work with the Sunbow Marvel Archive before. They're friends of the channel. We've looked at concepts from original G1, Beast Wars, a lot of stuff. It's a great archive for preserving basically the building blocks of this franchise. And just a lot of obscure media that you won't even find on a TF wiki. It's a pretty solid website if you really like your Transformer history. But I figure as long as it's in my head, let's go ahead and look over some of those old bios. We're going to stick to the original OG cast from '84. Just the initial ones. No Dinobots, no Constructicons, just the ones from More Than Meets the Eye. And we'll try to go quick because there are quite a lot of them. There's 27 characters to go through. But we're basically just going to see how accurate the animation characters were compared to what they sounded like in the series Bible. Now, there are some famous changes, but a lot of characters have undergone a lot of changes in just a short while. For instance, Optimus Prime, this one is pretty much accurate. The only thing that we changed here is the fact that, the splitting into 3 autonomous modules, brains, Optimus, Combat Deck, and Roller, that was only really shown once in the series. And that was pretty much it. They never really touched on it again, other than, actually, Episode 1 showed Roller. And then the episode where everyone got, evil reprogrammed, all 3 of his components were treated as, separate pieces they had to control. Okay, so, but the bio is mostly correct. This is fine. Now, if we move on to Bumblebee, do we start getting any differences? So, the idolizing of Optimus, and especially Optimus Prime and Prowl, that's correct, though we really don't ever see him interact with Prowl. So that one didn't quite make it to the series. Go underwater for reconnaissance and salvage missions. Anytime the Autobots go underwater, everyone kind of goes underwater. So we never really get to see that either. I think by the time they got to the series, they realized we're going to have to wait for a boat to come around before we get into episodes like this. So we had to wait for Season 2 and Sea Spray. But for the most part, yeah, he does come across as essentially the same. This is a little bit. This is still, they actually kept this accurate. Where are the ones? Where are the ones that are really weird? Blowout, for instance. Obviously, Blowout, not the name that made it to the series. This is Cliffjumper. Blowout was the original name, changed at the last minute. There's a few fun ones like that. So let's see. Drive a desire for vengeance on Decepticons. I mean, he is definitely gung-ho like that. Let's see. Sometimes careless about property, don't really see that much. One of the fastest Autobots, definitely don't see that. His recklessness often leads to actual blowouts. We definitely didn't see that out of Cliffjumper, so I'm going to say no, this one didn't quite make it all the way. It's interesting, because a lot of these are actually pretty detailed. Keep in mind, I'm showing you the abbreviated version of what these characters were intended to be. Unfortunately, they did not survive that very well. So there's full character bios that go into really deep detail. You can go to the Sunbow Marvel Archive to see those. but this is just mostly for the sake of, like, just keeping this as abbreviated as we can. Let's see. Yeah, we got the grumpy, dour, pessimistic. That's absolutely Hover. Not too sociable, absolutely reliable. Let's see. Arm sensors can test materials of strength, heat, weakness. Didn't see that as a function. Extremely strong, did not see that as a function. Superior mathematical and geometrical abilities, did not see that. Often unhappy and homesick for Cybertron. We definitely did not see homesick for Cybertron at some point out of Hover. That's a lot of characterization actually lost. Now that I think about it, like, he really did just get boiled down to he's the pessimistic one, and that's about all you ever got out of him. Hover's one of those characters who just had bits in episodes. He never had an episode to himself, so writers never really got a chance to explore anything like this. So, they just kind of focused on, like, the main crux of his character. Sprint. It's his name is not Sprint, just so you know. Fastest Autobot over short distances, good in situation where he fast is using the space, short attention span. This is Wind Charger, by the way. He was originally named after a phone company. The magnetic field thing he does get to keep. The short attention span we don't get to see. Again, he didn't have an episode to really focus on that. Burns himself out due to carelessness. Did not get to see that either. One thing I noticed as I was going through a lot of these bios is it was clear that the writers were trying to incorporate a lot more stuff into each character so that the ones writing the episodes could have a lot to work with and thus create more compelling episodes going into backstory or whatever. Keep in mind, the series Bible had to treat each and every one of these as completely fleshed out characters in case the writers for the show decided to use them. Meaning, what Bob Budiansky put down had to be complete, fully fleshed out characters, and then whatever the TV writers wanted to do, that's what they did. Obviously, they preferred some characters over others. So we did not get to see, Wind Charger, be Wind Charger, according to this bio. Brawn, essentially a hostile environment. He loves it, strong, rugged, agile, most macho of the Autobots. I'd call that correct. Let's see. Second strongest Autobot. Okay, that's second to Optimus Prime himself. Let's see. High resistance artillery fire, vulnerable to attacks by electromagnetic waves due to unsophisticated circuitry. Okay, that's actually pretty close. I will give that. That's actually really close to what Brawn turned out to be. So we can move on to Gears. Complainer of the group, hates everything about Earth. The self-proclaimed misfit finds fault in everything and everyone. That's it. That's absolutely Gears. Tremendous strength, endurance, didn't get to see a lot of that. Totes heavy loads, launches height of 20 miles, floats down compressed air, did not get to see that. Can detect infrared, didn't really get to see that. So, yeah. Okay, again, some details left off, but that's mostly close. It's mostly close. I'll give Gears a pass. Spin Out. Without looking, who can tell me who Spin Out was? All right. Can you tell me who was it? Was it Sunstreaker? Yeah, that's the first name for Sunstreaker. Complete egotist. He thinks he's the most beautiful thing on the earth. Well, that's Sunstreaker. That's absolutely Sunstreaker. Loves a sleek, silent, contemptuous of other sports car Autobots, particularly his twin Sideswipe. Did not see that. Absolutely did not see that. Not a team player. Can be baited in dangerous situations, but very calm, competent, and ruthless war machine. Did not see that. In fact, anytime we saw Sunstreaker, he was working with the team. Either he was working alongside his brother, or he was part of a group mission. In fact, he was leading the charge when they were trying to get the antimatter energon cubes away from Megatron. So definitely did not get to see that. That's definitely off. I guess when you are the less popular yellow and black Autobot, you don't really get a whole lot of screen time to explore these things. Not nearly the equal of his brother in combat arts, but less cold-blooded. Relishes a fight to finish with an opponent, unless uses underhand dirty tactics when necessary. Now, you could argue you could see this. Now, he has lines in the original G1 show that indicates, he really likes getting into a fight. But underhanded? I mean, the only time we really saw that was him flying, like grabbing onto Starscream in jet mode and dragging him around. Not Starscream. It's one of the other. It's one of the other jets. That escapes me which one. But that's about it. I don't really see much. I really don't see much in the way of like dirty tactics out of him. Often leads to injuries to himself. He takes a small stride. We don't really see that either. But I guess again, the jet judo scene probably is like the closest example to that we got. So this is close. This is close. Hound loves the natural wonders of Earth. Prefers it to Cybertron. Brave, fearless, loyal, but secretly desires to be a human. Wait. Hold it. Now we've got an odd one. Now we know that he was supposed to be the original appeal character. He was the friendly one to humans. He was the one that was going to be the friend to Spike. We actually do, we know that that's Hound's original intention and characterization. We don't really get wants to be a human out of him, though. That's a little much. Oh boy. Okay, so that's very different. Never really got to explore that one. A little bit weird. Have not even seen any expanded material. No comic books have done that either, so I'm going to assume that's just completely junked. Probably for the best. I'm not sure I like that approach. Mirage, not thrilled about being an Autobot freedom fighter. Okay, mostly correct. Prefers hunting Turbo Fox and Cybertron with his high-priced friends. That's right, Mirage was originally written as an elitist. Don't really get that out of him in the series. He's pretty competent in the series. He only has a couple of episodes, which is like More Than Meets the Eye Part 3 and little bits in the episodes prior. And then, the one where he got Cerebro shelled. Okay, so it's unsure of the Autobot cause, can't be fully trusted. So that does kind of play into the Cerebro shell episode with the Insecticons, but it also kind of plays into some of his later characterizations. I believe it was early IDW that did the Spotlight Mirage issue where he was a Decepticon, but he was dreaming it, but he didn't know how accurate it was, if he really was remembering something or if it was just a dream. So there was like this implication that he was some kind of sleeper agent, which was completely dropped and nothing ever came of it. But no, this one actually has some elements. This one actually has some interesting elements to it that never really got shared, that got used in weird ways in the series. But for the most part, this is close. Blue Streak. 2 words, Blue Streak. I still have to explain to people why his name is Blue Streak when he's not blue in color, because there's other definitions. Often talks incessantly and inanely. No real focus episode for the character, but we do see scenes where he is talking a lot, so I will give them that. Blazes Bean, he hates war, didn't get to see that. Haunted by memory of Decepticons destroying his home city. This is where I'm kind of frustrated by just how few they show. How few episodes they really give these characters sometimes. You can tell the writer for the bio, Bob Budiansky, is trying to give the writers something to work with and give them actual backstories and character origins, just like you would a superhero character, but you don't get to see that ever. We didn't know what Blue Streak's home city was. We've never heard of that. Certainly that it wasn't something like Iacon like everybody else. So that gives you a huge thing from his past that we've never touched on. I don't even remember anything in modern comics and fiction touching on that at all. So that's just a huge chunk of that character missing. Prowl, quiet, content, competent, loyal, endlessly patient, will keep a task for however long it takes till finished. Again, don't really get to see that, but it works. That's kind of that is kind of how he plays out. Strives to find reason and logic in everything. Don't get to see a lot in that, but okay. Listener, not a talker. Again, he needs a focus episode to really show any of that. Has most sophisticated logic center of all Autobots. Can analyze and advise on complex combat situations almost instantaneously. Don't get to see that. This is more like weird. That like, there's so many unique skills to these Autobots that they were never actually depicted with. Jazz, with 3 Z's on the original spelling. I don't know if that's a typo or if that was intended. Loves Earth culture, always looking to learn more. Knowledge of Earth makes him indispensable right-hand man to Optimus Prime. All that's correct. Takes most dangerous missions. Very cool, very stylish, very competent. All that's correct. Let's see, versatile, clever, daring, but prone to be distracted. This, I think, is spot on. Jazz has enough scenes, enough episodes where you do get this from him. I do think this is a entirely accurate bio that was utilized well in the series. So, good on this one. Jazz gets a pass. Ironhide. Go chew on a microchip is his motto. That's not a motto. That's not a motto. That's snack advice. That would be an insult at the most. That would be a retort at best. That is not a motto. Oldest, toughest, most battle-tested, probably meanest Autobot. I will give them that. Bodyguard to Optimus Prime. We didn't really get to see a lot of that, but he does tend to be like the security officer. Trithelium steel skin makes him nearly invulnerable to attack. He's the first Autobot in the series to take major damage. Fun how that worked out. See, slowest and breaks down the most of the group. A couple times in the series. I don't know if that's really the most, but okay, yeah, like he was prone to some damage, so we'll give you that. It's a little inconsistent with the whole, near impervious part, but okay, fine. This is kind of close. Ratchet, best tool in Diamond on Cybertron. His work bay, he can make anything from a pin to a cruise missile and usually repair any injured Autobot given the right parts. All are correct. Likes to party. Nope, did not see that in the show at any single point. Now, he does do a little bit of back-talking. That's the core of Ratchet. It's just to be like a little bit like sharp-tongued, especially when he's grouchy. But likes to party. And sometimes his having a good time interferes with effectiveness. That definitely was not in the show. He's a little bit more jovial than later Ratchets, so maybe that's where they got that. But yeah, never was a party guy. Never really saw him at a party here. I think that one ranks up there with like how incorrect Thundercracker is of like, he's just he's borderline Autobot. He doesn't really believe in the Decepticon cause. Oh, we'll throw all that out the window. Like, that's the famous example. Let's see. Most adept at driving while in car mode. Likes to show off his stunts. That's not Wheeljack. We never see him doing stunt driving. All the stuff with the inventions, I'll give him that. We've seen inventions and weapons blow up in his face. So it's about half and half. We don't get the stunt part, but we got the rest of it. I will be okay with that. We also don't get solid fuel rockets in his arms to fly with. We don't see that either. Guzzle. Do you remember who Guzzle was? No, this is Trailbreaker. Light of any situation, no matter how serious, practical joker and cheerleader. He was a more cheerful bot when we got to see him, but never really practical joker of the Autobots. We also don't touch on anything like fuel consumption or like asking to be left behind because he lacks self-esteem. Didn't get to see that. That is, again, something that IDW started playing with. That's kind of why he was the alcoholic in IDW. Because, yeah, he was supposed to be like a gas guzzler. So we didn't get to see that in the show. So this one's pretty far off. This one I didn't quite make it. Trailbreaker in the show, I think, comes off as like Ironhide Light, which is kind of unfortunate. Let's move into Decepticons, shall we? And I'm just doing this by the order they came up, so that's where Starscream came in first. This one is pretty much accurate. It's got the ego, it's got the treachery, prefers guile and speed rather than brute force to defeat Autobots. Personally, yes, but that's never been a tactic of his when he has been leader. In fact, his best shot at being leader was making the Combaticons, which is definitely a brute force measure. Let's see. Very good at what he does, sometimes overrates himself. That's absolutely accurate. This is very, very close. Because, of course, Starscream had, some of the most scenes in the series, plenty of focus episodes. No real confusion that they didn't have a chance to show him off. Thundercracker we know pretty well. Contemptuous of anything that cannot fly. Not totally convinced of the Decepticon cause, but they persuade him to keep battling. So we've talked about this in the show before. G1 Thundercracker, as he appeared in the cartoons and comic books, is not accurate to how he was originally intended. We had to wait till IDW, and now I guess Skybound's kind of approaching that territory as well. Doubt about his cause sometimes impedes effectiveness. This got nothing in the show. He's just a generic grunt for Megatron. Skywarp, pretty much the same. Enjoys playing cruel pranks on fellow Decepticons, appearing out of nowhere to attack Autobots. Well, the teleporting thing, yes, but again, we don't have any pranksters in these shows, so we didn't get that. Yeah, this is again, very, missing a lot of the deeper character. I'm not surprised on Decepticons, because they're really just there for Autobots to shoot and defeat, so not a big surprise that a lot of these are inaccurate. There's less of them. For Megatron, for instance, pretty much everything is correct outside of the whole black hole for antimatter thing. Antimatter is something he had to find himself. So, unfortunately, that's the only thing that's really off here. We didn't get that in the series. But the rest is accurate. Brute strength, military cunning, ruthlessness, no known weaknesses. Okay, that's Megatron. They got that right. Soundwave. See, he will use anything he hears for blackmail to advance his status. Don't get that. Opportunist. Don't get that. Despised by all other Decepticons. Not really, because he's the right hand of Megatron. He's like a go-to, so that's not a big surprise. Can read minds. We got that once. We got that. Well, no. I take that back. We got that twice. We got it once with Chip Chase, and we got it again with the Dinobots. So I will give them credit. They actually did do the read mind thing. Often target of retaliation by his comrades. That's definitely not accurate to Soundwave at all. Ravage. This is a fun one because the cassettes actually got full bios too. Operates best alone, creature of the night, craftiest of all Decepticons, adept at devising deadly new strategies. Because he does not talk, we will never know how close this is. He does carry a rank of 7, so technically Ravage can order around other Decepticons. Actually, let me double check. Let's see. Skywarp has a rank of 5. So technically, Ravage can give orders to Skywarp. Figure that one out for me. Obviously, this was written without realizing that the writers for the show were just going to make the cassette animals just mindless. Well, not mindless, but like speechless. So this is nothing that ever got realized in the series. I do remember him having headlights used against him. So the last part about being easily blinded. Okay, I think I've seen that. Rumble. Rumble does speak, so this is actually correct. Small but always acting tough, quick temper, mean disposition. Yep, that's pretty much exactly it. Transmit intense low-frequency ground waves to create powerful earthquakes. Here's the thing with Rumble and Frenzy. Their abilities got switched right along with names, colors, whatever else you want. Originally, Frenzy was the one who was supposed to use low-frequency sound as a weapon. So let's see. But do I have one for Frenzy? I'm not sure if I have one for Frenzy. Actually, I don't think I do, because Frenzy was like a late Season 1 edition. But this is not quite the personality is not quite Rumble is Rumble, but we missed the power on that one. Laserbeak takes pleasure in hunting his prey, straggling survivors, usually straggling survivors of a battle. Laserbeak definitely enjoys what he does. I'll give him that. Noticeably not brave. That is correct. Divide and conquer when he was sent to go finish off Optimus Prime. It was actually pointed out by Skywarp. He looks like he's chickening out. So, correct. He's not the bravest. Here's the fun part. Shortage of ruby crystals that empowers lasers can panic his systems into shutting down. He does not use any external fuel source for his weaponry. There's nothing about ruby crystals other than a plot point early in the series. And they certainly weren't used for Laserbeak's weaponry. That's, again, a huge piece of them that was not included. And I think the last one that they have is Buzzsaw. So, keep in mind, these are very old documents. The fact that they survived as long as they did is kind of a miracle. So some did not get a... some probably had a bio, but were never part of this particular Bible, or pages on them might have been damaged, because we're getting to the the very end of it, where like the bottom pages were more prone to damage, or, whatever. Buzzsaw, civil and sophisticated, yet very cruel and destructive. No, he just kind of flew around and chirped at things. Approaches his lethal task like a fine artist. He just kind of flew around and chirped at things. He's just barely around. He's just barely around. Due to a large ego, will often sulk rather than proceed if his plans go astray. My bite is worse than my bark. You're a bird. You can't do either of those things. It's funny. It's funny. Like, we almost had a much more rich and diverse cast of Decepticons, but they decided that the animals weren't going to speak. So, like, interesting things like this, like, okay, civil and sophisticated, but cruel. This would have been, like, a very menacing sounding character. We don't get to have that. Comics, I think, came a little bit closer. Buzzsaw does have a win over Omega Supreme, after all. But that's pretty much going to do it here. Like, this feels like a video I've done before, but honestly, I can't find it any way I search for it on my channel. So if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. But for the most part, I just kind of want to show. We know how inaccurate Thundercracker is, because we talked about it many times on the channel. It's very well known. But it's not just him. A lot of those characterizations changed between the series Bible and the actual show, largely because they just didn't have enough episodes to go around to feature everybody. The plots they came up with didn't really focus on a singular characters until really season 2. Season 1, it was more about including as many as possible in each episode and giving everybody good scenes, but that doesn't allow them to flesh out characters. So a lot of what could have been in G1 is completely left on the cutting room floor, and some of it has never even been touched on since. So really, some of these characters have been waiting over 40 years to be correctly portrayed as they were originally intended, and they are still waiting. And who knows how long it'll be until they are actually given their original intended characters. But for now, that's the rundown of how Series 1 in Transformers went. Please, let me know who your favorite weird one is in the comments below. And maybe we'll do this again. I don't know if there's a Season 2 or 3 Bible out there. Probably is. Don't know if it's scanned. Have not looked. But we might do this again if people like this. So, that's your history lesson for the day. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I will see you next time.
The day is getting closer. My journey is almost over. And when it is, our journey begins. The question is, when the stars align, will you be there?